This episode of TWIMMO is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial, use the URL audible.com/gamebreaker. And Gary Gannon's even thrown in a free book.
Gamebreaker TV.
Yes, it's Friday, and that means the TWIMMOs. Welcome to This Week in MMO, episode 185 for April 18th, 2014. You're watching Gamebreaker TV. I'm not Gary Gannon again, I'm Mike Byrne, but he's joining us. We just don't know from where. On today's show, a huge exploit pops up in Elder Scrolls Online. We got our first playtime look on H1Z1's gameplay, and it's a sad day for vampire fans. Joining me this week, Mr. Troy Blackburn. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Elder Scrolls Online is dying. You heard it here first, along with Wildstar.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Oh, we're off to a good start.
Yeah, and I didn't expect Troy to say that because also on the line, Mr. Gary Gannon.
No. My voice modulator would.
He's hiding out from the NSA. Everybody likes this picture of you, Gary. They think it like you should be doing
It's a good one, right? You needed a picture. I said, hey, funny enough, like where I'm at, I don't have a camera. So we need a picture.
Chat has speculated that you're opening for Billy Ray Cyrus.
That would.
And that is where you're hiding.
That's actually when I was booking for Billy Ray Cyrus. I was the agent. I was booking his tour. That's 1992, somewhere near
92.
Albuquerque.
I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Yeah, 11. All right, so whether you're enjoying Elder Scrolls Online or not, and our panel is kind of split on that one, you probably have noticed there's been quite a few bugs. A few might actually be a little bit of an
I've not seen any. I don't know what you're talking about.
Bull. And Troy, you did your review, your 2 weeks review in progress up on Gamebreaker TV today, and even you mentioned, these bugs are here, and we're just doing the best we can. They're getting rid of them as fast as they can, but there's some pretty serious ones going on right now, including bank items disappearing. Actual story quests.
You have stuff in your bank.
Come on, story quest blocking progression, Gary. Come on.
Don't worry about it, man. Just go do something else for a little while.
Oh, not the main story. Halt all of your progression because the game's broken.
Yeah, just go do some side quests or something. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
There's plenty out there to do. Just suck it up and deal with it.
Have you guys really had like
you two are like apologists here.
No, I really don't be serious for a second. But have you guys really had that many bugs? Because I really have had minimal. I've had one quest bugged, two quests bugged, and they're kind of easily fixed and worked.
That completely stopped my progression. No, I haven't run across anything yet that's just halted me where there was nothing else to do and I couldn't keep going.
And I wouldn't say anything's halting you. There's always something else to do.
Yeah.
But some of them do actually stop your progress. I mean, Cold Harbor, for one, is an area that's getting a bit of a beating right now because one of the tail end quests to close out Cold Harbor is hit and miss right now. I was seeing glitches and things that stopped me from quest progression as early as level 3 and 4, going back to the newbie zones that were part of all the beta. Yeah. One quest, and I'm playing Dominion, right? So one of the quests is on the beach. By the beach, you have to pick up bottles and use this healing ointment on 3 different soldiers that have been wounded in different areas and find them. And the third soldier, I gave 7, 8, 9, 10 bottles to. I kept finding another bottle on the beach, and my quest would never register that I had actually found and treated that person. The only thing that fixed it, logging out and into the character again, did not help. The only thing that fixed it was a flat-out quest abandon, restart, and it worked the second time.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing. I had different quests, but same solution. So yeah. I had one, same problem, and hit up customer support. Did you guys hit up customer support about those? Because I was actually surprised how fast they get back to you in-game. I sent it
I
a
haven't
ticket.
yet, but I've heard a lot of stories about how quick people are getting responses when
Oh
they
my
do
God!
send
Like
it
I
to
sent
them.
it a ticket, and literally within 15 minutes, I had somebody contact me in game, and I kind of expected not to see something for like 24
Hmm.
hours or something.
See, now that's
15 minutes.
impressive because if you read what's going on the internet, the customer service is not getting a very favorable review overall
I,
right now.
I've completely different experience on my
Yeah.
end, and basically, they just said, they didn't have they didn't have an awesome answer for me. They basically said, yes, we are aware that people are having problems with that particular quest. Try logging out. Try reloading your UI. If that doesn't work, try abandoning the quest. We apologize that you have to do that, or you can wait till we fix it. So I tried the first two, didn't work. Abandoned the quest, went back, picked it up, went back, and the quest was completely fine.
Have any of you had the odd rollback yet?
Yeah, I've had several of those happen to me. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where I don't know if it was a specific time, but I would do a quest and then come back to it later on, log out and back in, and I would have the same quest to do again. So I've run into quite a bit of that.
I have not had that happen.
Well, things kind of got worse today as an exploit that's reportedly, according to the internet and Reddit and everything, been in the game since beta. Now it's become widely known. And we're not going to break it down on how to do it. Well, let's just say that it was very, very easy. So easy, in fact, you could have done this exploit entirely by mistake.
You probably have done
And you
this
probably
exploit by
did.
Really?
Yes.
Can somebody break this down for me? I want to know how to do it. You can't do it anymore, right?
Well, they've implemented a
supposedly fixed
temporary fix in a patch right now. Temporary fix being we're going to take some features down, like the guild store and stuff like that. So, but what happened was there was a way to duplicate hundreds or even thousands of items in the game very
hold on,
quickly.
logging in right now.
Now, it's been patched.
Somebody please give me a bullet pointed list.
At least with a temporary fix, it's been patched. But the potential repercussions here are obviously huge, right? I mean, we
They
saw
got to be
this
able to
happen.
see who to roll back on this, right?
Well, a ton of
You would
people
think so.
already got banned. We saw on April 10th, they put up a note that said, hey, we've banned a ton of accounts, and we're going to keep doing it, keep reporting anything that you see, sellers and dupes and whatever. But that, unfortunately, this bug is persistent from beta, from what a lot of people are saying. There's even an Amazon.com review on April 8th that mentions specifically a very easy duplication bug. So it's not something that just popped up
put it
last
on
night.
Amazon?
They put it in their
Wow.
Amazon review on April 8th. Now, mum is the word over at ZeniMax, and that's the big problem. Obviously, they wouldn't advertise, hey, we got an exploit, we're going to go fix it. But now that it's widely known, I think they need to say something. Right now, they're closing all of the threads and just referencing this post on April 10th saying, we ban cheaters, keep reporting them. A ton of people are going to be
now is
banned.
the time that they've got it addressed to come out and say, hey, this is what was going on. This is why it took so long to fix it. We were aware of it, or we weren't aware of it. Surely to God, they were aware of it. But now is the time where that PR department needs to step up because they've been lacking a little bit. We've talked about that before. You've got to come out and say something at this point, if it really is addressed. Because like you said, they didn't want to say something before, because then the whole world would know, and that many more people would jump in doing it. But now that it's addressed, you've got to step in and say something about what was going on, the steps you took to fix it, and why was this bug persistent all the way from beta all the way up until now. We're 2 weeks
but I
into
guess
the official launch.
Here's the other thing, though. You really got to take the. I agree with what you're saying, like how they didn't want to say anything before because they don't want it to be widely known. But even still, now that we see it on, say, something like Reddit, how do we know that that's really even still considered widely known? Like where's the threshold? So it's possible that even though it's got out in the wild and we've kind of covered it and stuff, what if the majority of the people still don't really know that it exists? I don't know. They might just keep quiet until they fix it and then just come out with a solution and tell everybody what they're going to do.
I mean, and none of this is new. We're not trying to say that this has never, ever happened before.
I was going to say, have we ever had an MMO not have a dupe bug? Really? Has it ever
remember,
not
the
happened?
last one we talked about, Gary, was Neverwinter, and that was duplicating items that could be converted into real-world cash. So
Yes.
that was a huge problem, and I'm sure Elder Scrolls will recover here, but it's how do they do it? Because banning players doesn't totally fix the problem, right? The gold and the items are still in the economy, and they shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Well,
So
they got to fix the bug, and then they got to get some of that gold back out and ban all that, and just scoop back that currency back out of the economy. Or
do you think they could do that, though? I mean, some people are suggesting just take all the
I
gold
hope
and items
so.
from the economy. Can people track that? I mean, you're not... Yes, you can find the people that were probably doing it en masse, right? Oh, this obviously there's a transactional log in the database and somebody's got 9 bajillion of some item. You can see that very quickly. But you're then hurting people that didn't do anything wrong, right? If you just go in and scoop the gold and the items straight out of the economy.
I'm curious, like, let me break it down. How could I have literally done this without knowing it?
Yes.
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 Very much so.
You could accidentally have done this bug. The problem here...
How do we do it? If it's out in the wild, let's just talk about it. I mean, we do not advocate doing this. You should not go do this. Game Breaker does not tell you to go do this. But what is it? Because now I'm like worried. Well, now I want to know, because what if we do it, we get banned, and we don't really mean to do it. So now I kind of want to stay away from it.
Right, and you can't do it now, so there's no staying away from it anymore. You can't do it. They've shut the things down. I don't want to cover it here, but let's just say there's YouTube videos. Can we leave it at that? There are YouTube videos, and you don't have to search very hard.
All right, let's see. YouTube.com. What would be my Elder Scrolls?
All right, so here, let me give you an example of somebody that could potentially be hurt by scooping all that stuff out, and you tell me how you deal with this situation, okay? So Gary exploits the system and duplicates a bunch of crafting materials or items, okay? He sells them to Troy at a very great price because Gary doesn't care, right? He just go make more of them, and he just wants Troy's gold. Troy got a good bargain. He sells them to me to make a little bit of money for himself. Player A has gold he shouldn't. I've got items I shouldn't have. But neither Troy or I had anything to do with the duplication and aren't even aware that these were ill-conceived gains or ill-gained goods. I mean, some people are even talking about rollbacks, but for crying out loud, could they do that?
No, at this point, we're this far into the game. It's just going to have to come to a point where they ban the people who really exploited it, take away what they can from those that they know without a doubt did the exploit. But the rest of it's just going to have to get bled back off the economy naturally, and it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. If there is a silver lining to this, is that a lot of the economy is in kind of little pockets. The way the guild stores are set up, there's not one big auction house, and so some of these little pockets haven't been affected as much. I know in the guild stores that I'm a part of, I didn't see a huge price drop. I seen more of an expected price drop over time over the coming weeks. As time went by, things were starting to get cheaper, the beginning zone stuff. So maybe it's not as big of a problem as what it initially sounds like it is, but I think we're to the point now where there's not a lot they can do to draw all that back off the economy. And the good news is they've got some gold sinks in this game. Have you tried to buy inventory slots?
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
There's a couple people in chat that are wondering why we're talking about this as in-depth as we are. First off, yes, you're right. We talk about the story and the quest bugs. Go watch last week's episode when we talked about that in a lot of detail, where the quest bugs are a huge problem. But let me lay this out for you, Gary. Okay, so the economy...
Is this the auto-clicker bug?
So...
Is that what this one is?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Clicking.
So let me lay this out for you why this actually is a little bit of a big deal. The initial impulse is to go, wow, the economy is going to be crushed, right? But as Troy, you pointed out, yeah, it'll be influenced for a little while, but eventually it'll restabilize as things start becoming unavailable again. That'll sort itself out. It's not a huge deal because there's no one big market house. Let me lay out a reason for you why you should care about this, even if you had nothing to do with it and you think it's not a big deal. If you're a PvP player, you're in trouble. Because the people that have already mass leveled and mass duplicated items made it extremely cheap for a lot of people to buy the items and craft all the legendary gear for their entire set. Automatically tipping scales for PvP. Yeah, it does it for PvE too, but that's your own scale. You're kind of cheating yourself. This doesn't just impact an economy. If these items aren't taken out, banned, reduced, found, tracked down, a huge portion of the game is now out of balance for a long period of time. Eventually it will correct as more people catch up, but that's gotta be a factor here, right, Troy?
It's definitely going to influence, and I mean, it sucks. It's not a fun thing to have things like this happen. But at the end of the day, there's only going to be so much they can do with it, and there's only going to be so much of that they can pull back out of it, and the rest of it's just going to have to get balanced out with time. I don't see a whole lot of other options. I don't think rollback is an option here. I just don't.
I would be surprised if they don't have
making more people mad.
You guys, I would be really surprised to think that they don't have some tools in place to catch stuff like this and be able to find the people who really did this on a mass scale to really tip the scales to like break the game.
I would be surprised too, but Guild Wars 2, the way they handled their exploit, you got the impression they didn't have the tools. Now, of course, this isn't ArenaNet, but I mean, sometimes you're surprised by what they can and can't do.
Here's another consideration, though, Gary. Okay, fine. Let's say the scales aren't tipped that well. The internet is now claiming that a lot of people are claiming that ZeniMax was already aware of this and did nothing.
Haven't we heard that same thing about every game as well?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Of course.
Like, this is the same thing. We go through this every time. Like, I knew about this in Star Wars. Made up people tell them everything and blah, blah, blah. Like, all right.
And almost always the answer is from the devs that you don't understand how complicated it is to fix it. To fix this one thing, we've got to mess with XYZ to get A and B to actually work right.
I will say this.
They should not have released the game because of this. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Well, not because of this, but I think Elder Scrolls could have benefited from holding a little while longer than it did. Particularly the quest bugs and things like that. My overall experience does not have me resubbing at the end of my free month right now.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm being honest, yeah. As much as I love Elder Scrolls, I mean, for crying out loud.
Can I get a lifetime sub?
I've got the $100 collector set, and then I bought the $100 Heroes of Elder Scrolls limited edition book print and everything. I love it. I enjoy the game. But to be honest, there's just so much that I'm not having fun with, particularly dealing with bugs and little odds and ends here, that right now I'm really tempted to cancel the sub and wait a few months while this builds up and fixes itself a little bit.
Well, the good news is if bugs are your major issue with the game, come back in 6 months.
Exactly. And that's why, I'm not saying I'm never going to play this game again. I just think that it could have benefited from a couple more months, maybe a June, July release date coincide with the console launch date, would have given them a few more months to iron some of this stuff out.
So Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, subbed and played more of the original Final Fantasy XIV than he is going to ESO.
That's false. That statement's false. I think I gave Final Fantasy XIV, the original, 2 total months of payment, and that was at the 1-year point and the almost 2-year point, just so I could speak intelligently about the patches. That was the only money I gave the original. It's really interesting. I'm very interested to see ZeniMax's response, because it is going to be time to respond now that this is on a much bigger scale, and that's what I'm really waiting for, to see what they say about it. Directing me to an 8-day-old post isn't enough for me right now.
I honestly expect all of these things that we're talking about on any of these large AAA games like this. It's incredibly massive. I mean, walking around there and seeing how they built things, it's almost mind-boggling. I got to give props to ZeniMax, because I can't even believe that they pulled off what they've pulled off, because I actually think it's pretty phenomenal what they've done with the game. And bugs like this and things that are going to crop up are just everyone knows. I think they would never admit to this, but developers know this going into this. When they flip the switch, that stuff like this is going to happen. They're already sort of prepared to know that things are just going to come up that they don't even know exists at the time. It's just the nature of the beast.
And at the end of the day, the players know it's going to happen too. They just love blowing out of proportion on forums.
I don't know. I'm seriously having a great time with it. I haven't enjoyed an MMO this much in a long time.
And I agree, there's a great game to be had there. There's just issues that I'm probably gonna wait a month or two for them to iron out before I can jump back in and just enjoy it. Right now, it frustrates me while I'm playing, and that's not why I play a game. Sorry.
The only thing, going back to we can keep talking about this. Still, the biggest frustration is not being able to group with your friends.
Yeah.
That is a huge frustration, but that's not really like a bug. That's just the way the game works. And once you kind of get over that, and those dreams are crushed, you just go on and move on with your day.
Last week, we also chatted about H1Z1. Pretty much, it was all text at that point. It was Smedley and the team on Reddit just posting a bunch of stuff. This past week, yesterday, in fact, we got a live stream. Almost an hour long.
Live stream,
actual gameplay.
And it's coming out in like May.
Yeah, right. 19.99 in 4 weeks. We'll be able to buy you in. So did you check out the live stream, guys?
I did watch
replay.
I watched a bunch of it. Yeah, I mean, DayZ looks amazing. It's really good. I'm glad they bought DayZ.
Not a lot of difference there right now, is there?
No, and I kept waiting for like that big moment where they were going to show something that wasn't DayZ, because the similarities are going to be drawn all the way until after the game closes down, right? But I was looking for, okay, show us one thing that, even if it doesn't work yet, or talk about something that you're thinking of doing that makes this different.
they're building. They're building stuff when they show up that stuff. That those are some of the things that DayZ's definitely lacking. I mean, the aesthetic, the world of foliage, how they built, like just the environment, kind of just immediately screams DayZ. That's not a bad thing, you know. I think who knows how it's going to feel. I think a big part of why DayZ is cool is because it's just the way it feels, and partially that's because it's kind of clunky. I hope they almost can harness that. They talked about how it's not an FPS, it's not twitchy, which is great. Good, it's a sim. It's going to hopefully feel a little bit weird and wonky, but it looks really cool. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what it's like when a lot of people are in there, though.
It's very early alpha footage right now too. I mean, we're looking at early stuff right now. So I mean, they flat out said, we're getting the core, game features in here right now, and they were basically just riding us around, showing, what's there right now. And there's the way they talk. There's a lot more to come.
Yeah, there was plenty of Jeeps.
Lots of Jeeps.
And they were using obviously their dev codes and everything. They said if you want a vehicle, you're going to have to build the damn thing. You're going to have to find the parts and get a car up and running. But so it was like 50 minutes of Jeep driving with a couple zombie deaths in there. It looked smooth. It's a hell of a lot further along than I thought they were, right? I mean, they just announced this damn thing last week.
Yeah, what they say is going to be playable to us 4 weeks?
In 4 weeks. $19.99
that
for your little early access pack. 4 weeks.
I think that's earlier than all of us thought it was going to be.
I think the scariest thing about this title is like they're saying all the right things for like what people think they want in DayZ, and DayZ was always so. They always kind of like really played a slow game, and they always seemed really afraid to just put things into the game that could change the dynamic of how it made the game feel more than anything else. And the one thing I got to say that is scary is like, it seems like, H1Z1 could just be putting in a bunch of these things that people have been screaming and they say that they want. Like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And somebody's just going like, okay, we'll give them all of that. But what if that doesn't feel right? Like, what if that's not really the right experience? And I think that's something that Rocket and Dean and stuff like really kind of always took that above everything else. I don't think it was always because they didn't have the tech to maybe do some of that stuff. I think it was because they would implement stuff and they'd be like, wow, that completely feels too arcadey or too, just doesn't make the game as scary as it should be kind of thing. And I just wonder if throwing everything the players sort of want at the wall and just giving them everything is the right approach.
Well, the one thing they did say during the stream, which I thought was really important, and if you go back, we posted the stream on GameBreaker TV today. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I would recommend fast-forwarding to probably about the 20-minute mark and then watching from there, because they had some main server issues, so they had to just kind of walk around until the main server was back up. So one of the important things they did say, though, was, this is about fun. We want it to be realistic and scary and things like that, but if it sacrifices fun, we're not going to put that in. And so I think that kind of goes with what you're talking about, Gary, is if you get a list of everything all of us want to put in this game, and they iterate it and play it out and it's not fun, it sounds like it ain't making the game. Sorry.
Speaking of scary and fun, did you see them getting attacked by zombies when they were accelerating the day-night cycle?
Yes.
That was intense. the nighttime is awesome right now. I hope it stays like that. I hope it stays that dark where you can't tell what's going on and stuff just comes at you and you got to get your torch out or you're going to die. When it's starting to get dark, man, you better go hunker down somewhere because that's going to be incredible.
Are you guys buying in? $20 right away?
Yes.
Right
the
away?
moment
absolutely.
they can take my money, they're going to have
Yeah,
it.
the second that thing goes up, I definitely got to try it. I mean, it's kind of, like I said, you just until you play it, you don't know. But yeah, the second that thing goes live, we're playing.
It's worth $20 to find out if I'm going to like it or not.
Hell, even the website with all the hidden Easter eggs was pretty wild. with there was a light flashing Morse code that gave you URL to an in-game screenshot. And there again, another article we have on Gamebreaker. Check it out. It looks like just a screen of fog, and there's about a bajillion things going on the website. As soon as they want to take my money, I will have credit card in hand.
You were not a huge DayZ fan though, were you?
I own it, and I played it occasionally. But the only reason I didn't like it, Gary, was where you liked the kind of difficulty with the inventory management system and the UI, where you thought that kind of was gritty. It bothered the hell out of me to the point where I couldn't play it. Every once in a while I would jump in, but the UI made it almost impossible for me to want to play it. So hopefully a shinier, smoother one.
New words.
New words will work. Now, Smedley did give us some news outside of the live stream, and I want to talk about that. But first, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor for TWIMMO today, and that is Audible. Use the URL you have on your screen right now, audible.com/gamebreaker. You head on over to that URL, you're going to get 30 days free and a free audiobook. I can't say enough about this service, and neither can Mr. Gary Gannon. Uses it all the time, driving up and down the east and the west coasts, respectively.
Love it, love it, love it.
Check it out. So I've got searching up Game of Thrones, of course. I just watched episode 2 of the current season last night on the DVR. Fantastic, spoiler-free. But if you want spoilers, you've got all the books from the Song of Ice and Fire series right here, Mr. George R.R. Martin. Let's play a little sample.
How many hours?
Oh, boy. Just book 1, 33 and 50 minutes. 33 hours and 50 minutes for book 1. Yeah, let's play a
Books
little
on
sample.
Tape presents A Game of Thrones, Book 1 of A Song of Ice and Fire, by George R.R. Martin, read by Roy Dotrice. Prologue. "We should start back," Garrett urged, as the woods began to grow dark around them. "The wildlings are dead."
That's one of Gary's favorite narrators, one of the narrators that gets into it and puts multiple voices to everything. Great service for streaming. Now, none of these have Whisper Sync yet, but a feature on Audible called Whisper Sync allows you to seamlessly jump from listening to the book on your Kindle to reading it on your Kindle if you own it, back and forth. So you never have to set a good book down. Read, press play, and it'll read it to you with the Whisper Sync feature. Everybody asks, how can we help support Gamebreaker? Best way to do it? Support our sponsors. Costs you nothing, and you get some free services to boot. Audible.com.
Charum says that guy isn't narrating. He's a character.
He's definitely a character. Audible.com/Gamebreaker. Free month. Free audiobook, and you get to support Gamebreaker at the same time. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, so Smedley took to the live streams, or to the internet after the live stream, and to Reddit again. Players are going to get to vote for special rule sets on servers. Who saw this one coming? I seem to remember we talked about the types of servers last week.
Yeah, they said something about they were going to have different types. I think this is the first we've heard on how that's going to come about, though. And they've got a pretty interesting system going here.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one. Gary, let me break it down, and you tell me if this is... You're the marketing guy. You've done this your whole life. Tell me what you think about this. Players are going to get a free pledge token, independent internet currency pledge token, once per year to vote for a server type. Doesn't sound like Sony Online is just going to throw server types at anyone who wants it. They want a lot of votes for different server types. Now, they'll also sell pledge tokens as well, but you can still only vote on 2 server types each year. Here's the cool part, though, from a marketing standpoint, I guess. If you win the vote, you get your station cash back. So that's okay. That's generous. I get my money back if I pick the winning server. What do you think of this? I'm kind of up in the air.
Sounds too weird and esoteric in a year. Like, I just don't get it. It's bizarre, and I don't really fully understand it, and I got a million questions, and to me, right then, it kind of breaks down.
And
get it.
Chat's bringing it up, though. Private servers for a fee could be a great way to monetize, right? I mean, Smedley and team have a whole Reddit post about here's how our core concept of monetization looks like. How would you monetize this? Tell us how we should monetize this game. Really, the only rules are we will not sell you power. This is a hardcore game. If you want to be babied, this ain't the game for you. You're not going to be able to buy your way into getting coddled. I mean, that's kind of a unique monetization.
The whole idea is kind of unique. So are they literally saying that they might offer private servers for the game? Is that actually an option, or is that just what players are thinking they want to ask for?
That's just what players are thinking they want to ask for right now. The only clarification we have is that you'll be able to vote for a server type at the moment.
That's what I mean. So I'm seeing this as like, fully open PvP, full loot, and this other server will be RP, and this server will be this. I don't see them. I don't know. Do you guys see them really offering private servers? I don't.
I don't. It's been my understanding, kind of reading between the lines the whole time, too, that their entire goal was that they're hosting all the servers, and that I don't think right now they have intentions of selling private servers.
And they said that on the live stream.
Flat out said that. Did they flat out say that?
Yeah, they said we are going to be the server host on the live stream. But that doesn't necessarily
servers.
That doesn't necessarily exclude you from having your own server. You would just be paying Sony to support and run the server for you, right?
Now Sony's got to get into us to become like a server hosting company for multiple servers. That sounds crazy. I don't know.
Make some money.
I don't see that happening. But I mean, how many different types of servers do we really need?
Well, we talked about that last week. Is there even is there a need for a PvE server in a type of this game? So
no.
What does that cut you down to? PvP and okay,
Not
do you want
so
a role playing maybe?
Role playing, full loot, and then maybe one that's Care Bear-ish that doesn't have full loot.
They're not going to do that. I mean, they've already said multiple times this is going to be a hardcore game. When you die, it's permadeath.
Are they giving any examples? I mean, are they I don't.
On the stream, they said it's permadeath. They said it's you can, when you're killed, if you can make it back to pick up your stuff, great, but don't expect that to happen all that often. Your stuff is probably gone. And it's catering to a hardcore crowd. There's no way to
maybe one that offers maybe a server that offers some sort of insurance. Maybe you lose your stuff, but you get. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. I don't know. I think that's what's
missing. There's a great way to monetize it, right? Get in bed with progressive.com.
Well, I mean, EVE Online has it,
right?
Like, it's your ship can blow up, but if you have insurance, you at least recoup some of that cost. I don't know. It seems weird to me. I don't know. This whole idea of this token and voting and yearly, it just seems bizarre to me. I don't really get it.
Well, before we really understand it, I think they need to give examples of what they've got in mind. What do they think is going to have this many different server rules? I mean, like you said, I can't imagine more than just a handful of different type of server rules. So some examples of what they've got in mind for people to vote on would be great to help us understand more about kind of what's going on with this.
Very weird. And we're gonna.
I don't know what to think of this whole new direction of just like letting players sort of, are they really letting players sort of like guide it, or are they like? Is it sort of a facade of being entrenched with the community? I can't tell.
I think it's a facade.
I think on this one, not to be negative, but I think this one it is a bit of a facade where I think Landmark is truly we need to develop this together. Hence the different fee to get in, hence the much earlier access to get in. I think that's a different model. But yeah, I think this one might just be a little bit of, we know what we're doing, but we're not going to tell you all we're doing. We're going to let you suggest it, and when it matches, you got credit for it. Good job, fans.
Exactly.
We don't have long to wait, at least, to check it out. So May, they're saying May, right?
Yeah, 4 weeks from yesterday. 3 weeks and 6 days.
Was this? Do we know where did the game come from? Was it developed in house? Did they pick this up from somebody else who already had it in development, or is it all inside Sony?
It's theirs, I believe. It's all on the PlanetSide 2 engine, so it's them.
Yeah, it's on ForgeLight.
Maybe started out as a side project and now it's turned into a big thing.
You would almost think.
Do you think it started as a side project, or was somebody like, "Hey, check out this DayZ shit. There's a lot of people playing this."
Yeah, I mean that, but I could also see like somebody on the side kind of taking the engine once they get the Forge Light engine working and take that engine, just kind of start messing around and just did something similar to it. Now it's gotten
I mean, they're
bigger.
already releasing not full specs, but at least giving you an idea. Since it's based on Forge Light, SMED came out and said, "Hey, if you can run PlanetSide 2, you'll be able to run H1Z1 better." Because
I think this is
back.
smart for some of these companies that start some of these like smaller ideas and let some of the devs have maybe some free time amongst their week to kind of dedicate to projects like this to see like what has legs. I think that's something. I think Trion's kind of doing something similar, and you see that things like Trove coming out, and I think they've got one or two other even more projects in the works. Maybe that I did or did not see. But I think it's a great way to give some of the creatives, the people in the trenches, like some added time in their week to say, hey, dedicate X number of hours to just some sort of project you want to work on, and then have like 3 or 4 of those going, and then kind of see what comes out of it, and then pick one and give it some more support. I wonder if that's how this all came about.
And you feel like, in a way, that some of those devs that they're letting just kind of work on things on the side, maybe they're a step closer in touch with what gamers are wanting and doing, because, I mean, they're probably more gamers than the suits are up top. So they've got a better feel for what people will play and what they like.
I don't know. Smed strikes me as a big-time gamer.
Well, besides Smed.
Smed. But I can't remember the last time I saw him in a suit, so I don't think he counts as a suit. He's
definitely big, I can tell you that. He's a big man.
Yes, he is. Well, on the downside of the MMOs this week, we did get some bad news from the CCP team. Speaking of Eve, long-awaited World of Darkness has finally been canceled.
Unfortunately. Would have loved to see this game actually make it. The writing's been on the wall, I think, for a long time. This was no surprise.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on this panel was shocked, right?
No, I don't think any of us. I think we all kind of knew. We were just waiting for the actual announcement to come down that this would happen someday.
I'm surprised it took this long to become official that they're done with it.
How many years was this in development? I was trying to remember. Is it 5 or
2008 or 6?
6
so
or
that
8?
would put it
a long time.
Yeah, that would, if it was 2006, which I think it was, that would put it at 8 years.
8 years! That's insane. They put that much time and money in development. How much they burned into this thing.
Well, 56 employees at CCP Atlanta were let go when this happened. So obviously our condolences to them, and we hope they get back on their feet as soon as possible. It sucks when you get laid off and all the employees and families affected. But it's not the first round of layoffs, right? This is like the 4th one, I think. The 3rd or 4th one for the World of Darkness team. Were you surprised to hear that there were actually 56 people left, Troy?
Yeah, that's still enough people to make a game.
I don't even believe that. You guys believe that 56 people were working on World of Darkness?
I remember you joking on TWIMMO before I was even with Gamebreaker, Gary, about CCP and World of Darkness being down to one guy in a cupboard with a laptop.
Yeah, I mean, they probably technically had the title of it, but I would imagine a lot of them also had duties on EVE Online at the exact same time. That would be my guess.
How can you still, at this point in your 3rd or 4th round of layoffs for this game, have 56 people let go, and we've still seen almost nothing about the game? And
we got some leaked screenshots the day after the announcement happened over on Reddit. I don't know if you guys saw those.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. It's
all right. 8 years of development, screenshots, good money.
Exactly. For a game that we started hearing about in late 2006, we don't actually know a ton about this and what they were striving for besides the IP.
Because I don't think CCP knows much about what it even was.
The only things I've heard talked about what the game was going to be were just extrapolated from the World of Darkness IP itself, and people just kind of assuming what the game was going to kind of be. More came from the actual knowledge of the existing IP than anything they told us about what the game was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason people were excited for it, including myself. It had that dark and gritty and vampires, and it was kind of cool and unique in like a secret world sort of way. speaking of that, I know Gary doesn't care about Secret World, but I do. There's a new ARG running right now for you Secret World guys and gals.
All two of you listening to the show.
Me and I guess
you
my
and
wife.
Q.
Q. It's you. It's me and Q. But this was a cool, unique IP. It might have been a little niche, but it was a cool, unique IP in a sandbox world. We already know CCP can do sandbox, right? I mean, on paper, this sounded fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, if you find those screenshots as well, when you look at it, like the cool thing with CCP, the art and the aesthetic of it was awesome. Like it just dripped of cool. Like it was just very cool looking. Like everything about it was just like, it wasn't cheesy at all. Like they really just kind of nailed the artwork, which is, kind of what they're really good at CCP as well. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like this, it could have been a good IP. Just I don't know what went wrong. Who knows what went wrong?
I was going to ask, do you think they just maybe realized they weren't going to be able to produce a good game out of this, or what the heck happened with this? I mean, that's a long time to not have anything to show for it.
Yeah, and chat's pointing out we did at one point get a fly-through video. I do remember that now that I saw somebody comment.
I do vaguely remember
and
that
it was
now.
really detailed fly view of the one or two of the cities. It's kind of sad, though, right? Because Sandbox is all the rage right now. It's enjoying a little bit of a resurgence with EQ Next, H1Z1, ArcAge even has a lot of Sandbox elements.
We'll see if Sandbox is having a resurgence or not. They're just now starting to come around and hit the market. We'll see how they actually perform once they all start kind of getting out. I have question marks about that.
Here you go, Gary. Immediately after we heard this announcement of World of Darkness finally closing for reals, we got the announcement that CCP dropped into the red for 2013.
There you go. Now makes more sense.
$21 million. That's a big number.
So, well, when you lose that kind of money, what's the first thing you do? You start cutting all the excess fat. So CCP, probably went around and started just probably going to make more cuts, I would imagine.
Well, and then we heard that the World of Darkness IP itself, to CCP, was, quote, very valuable, and that they were reviewing the status of it. When they did the White Wolf does that mean we can buy World of Darkness at some point?
Like
IP up for sale?
Put some money together and do a GoFundMe and buy World of Darkness.
Right.
Well, if nothing else, it tells you they weren't coming up against some kind of deadline where their use of the IP was about to run out, and they just had to cancel everything. They've still
because they merged.
They
merged with White Wolf, which is bought basically, you could say, but they say merged. But that's their IP, so they weren't under the gun there. I mean, they could have been under the gun by possible investors. That's just taking way too long and just funneling way too much money. And the fact that Dust 514, I don't think really did what they had hoped.
No.
I seem to remember writing a story last year about 2013 not going to end well for CCP. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Called it.
And didn't say anything about World of Darkness. I left that out of the equation. Check this out. I got an idea. I mean, as a gamer, I definitely would like to see them sell World of Darkness, even if I end up just getting single-player games out of it. I love the IP, and I think it needs its day. Gary, I got it for you. I'm going to solve it right here for you, and you are totally on board.
Break it down, brother.
You are totally on board. Watch. World of Darkness IP. Sell it to the Witcher devs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please!
Yes. Yes.
Take my money right now. I don't even have to think about it.
Maybe a single-player RPG is where this IP needs to go at this point. Maybe an
I'd be
MMO
okay
just
with
wasn't
that.
going to work for the IP.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I wonder what they could really sell the IP for. I wonder how much that's actually worth.
$150 million. No, I have no idea. I'm just kidding. So before we move on away from this, our producer Dom did want to make a comparison here. And of course, I guess he knew I was going to be on the show. So I think it's safe to say the original Final Fantasy XIV was the biggest MMO blunder ever. I don't think any of us dispute that. But hey, at least Square Enix came out all right? Maybe World of Darkness now takes the crown for the biggest disaster. Can we move that crown over, Gary?
No.
Hey, come on, man.
Can't.
I'm not a financial expert. I'm not an expert. But
You
surely,
cannot move that crown over. No,
buying
you
an
can't.
IP, working on it off and on for 8 years, and then canceling the project was all straight cost with no.
Hey man, they
plus.
saved the consumers money. We didn't have to shell out money for a piece of garbage and find out it didn't work. So
No, I'm
no.
advocating for removing
CCP
the crown.
pulled the plug, and I'm saying kudos to them for pulling the plug. and looking out.
We're moving the crown from Final Fantasy XIV to World of Darkness.
No.
Come on, you can't
Projects
even
get
give me
shelved
that,
every
for
day.
God's
Sorry.
sake, gentlemen.
Projects get shelved every day that have had money sunk into them. Maybe not quite this much time and money that we just never hear about. So, I mean, it happens all the time. It's not that big a deal. We just happen to, this one's a little more public. And so we're a little more aware of it. Does this outweigh Final Fantasy? No.
Chat won't even let me move the crown. Well, you can't blame me for trying.
Hey, you've got that crown, but you've also got probably one of the biggest wins, the triumphant crown, because we turned it around. So you've got that one as well.
Mr. Troy Blackburn, you can follow him on the Twitters at NoobFridge and see all the writings on the Game Breakers and the free-to-plays and all the other websites that he's been doing his stuff for. Thank you, sir. Lots of fun.
Where did you come up with Noob Fridge?
Do you really want the story? It was
Is it that long?
It's not that bad. We were playing League of Legends. One of my friends made a bad play. Somebody said, "What are you, some kind of new fridge?" And we just owned it.
Oh, own it.
So we didn't even come up with it. It was fun.
From his Billy Ray Cyrus debut, Mr. Gary Gannon. Follow him on the Twitters at Gary Gannon. Yeah, someday you'll be on camera again. I don't know when.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm booking Iowa right now.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Obviously, make sure you're following Gamebreaker TV on both Twitter and Facebook, getting the latest and greatest in MMOs. Speaking of MMOs, another one coming up in about a month and a half is the WildStars. If you have not pre-ordered WildStar yet, check it out, gamebreaker.tv/deals. It's going to be the financial death of me, that damn site. Not only do we have WildStar there at 20% off if you pre-order it there, we've got tons and tons of other deals there, and I've even combined deals to make even better pricing. Check it out, gamebreaker.tv/deals. Gary, I got the $80 Digital Deluxe WildStar for $48 after I combined all my stuff on that website.
How awesome.
Check it out, gamebreaker.tv/deals. Until then, next week, gang, stay safe. We'll see you out on the servers.
Game Breaker TV.